protocol. 80, the two benefits of the 80.1q protocol is what? The first of all, it's a IEEE standard protocol. So if you have a multi-vendor scenario, right, normally you can find it in the production network. Like you have a switches of Cisco, Juniper, HP, Palo, right? Different, I don't know, Palo switches are coming or not. I have no idea. So you have different vendor, but yeah, you can make a 80.1q protocol over there. ISL is not going to work. ISL only comes in the picture when you have a only Cisco devices. Then we have also seen that we have two types of interface. One we call as a trunk interface, another is called as an access interface. So normally your trunk interface is gonna carry the tag information, right? It add the tag and it remove the tag. Access port only receive the untagged packet. Trunk port receive the tagged packet. Native VLAN does not perform the tagging. By default, all the ports are the part of the VLAN number one, and that's why, right? You know, we call as a switch has a by default single broadcast domain because of this person. So these normally we have these types of trunk port, access port trunk ports. So normally you can define the trunk between router switch, switch to switch, server, switch to server, right? At the same time, you have you can change the native VLAN if you want. So for default behavior is 1. If you want to change the native VLAN, you do have ability, you can change the native VLAN as well. So make sure that only one native VLAN will be there. So either you can make a VLAN number 1, which is by default as a native VLAN. You can make a VLAN number 10 as a native VLAN 2. If you want, you can make a 20 as well. Or now, somebody has asked the question, why do we need to change the native VLAN? That already I told you yesterday, right? So we are going to discuss those things in the VLAN security part. So the very simple command, make sure that your VLAN, native VLAN should be configured on the both that same side. So on this side should be also a VLAN number 10 as a native VLAN, and VLAN number 10 is also a native VLAN. It's not like that you can configure the VLAN number 1 over there. So there will be a mismatch error will become over there, right? So this was my topology, right? Not this one. So we are going to work on this topology today. Let me first change my query size. I have enough of them. So 9 is fine. And session default settings, save it. Okay. Switch 1. No, yes. Switch 2, no, yes. Switch 3, yes. Right? So a very simple command line we have to make a static trunk is what? You just need to go on the, for example, if I'm going to make a trunk in between, so switch 1, we can go in the switch 1 and say that interface is 0/0, switch port. That's a shortcut keyword of the switch port. Trunk encapsulation .1q, right? And then you need to make a switch port mode trunk. Same way on the switch 2, we have a 2 interface. Interface is 0/0 and 0/1. We can call as a range keyword, right? R for range and same command. And on the third one, switch 2 as well. Switch 3, we can configure this thing as well. Switch port mode trunk encapsulation. That's how you are making a static trunk. Now, let's take example. How about the DTP now? So another ways to make a trunk is called what? It's a dynamic trunking. That's called as a DTP protocol. DTP, again, it's a Cisco. Will you teach us how to? Definitely, I'll teach you how to use the WebIO. Don't worry about that. So DTP is called as a dynamic trunking protocol. Okay, and it comes in the dynamic behavior. So if you want to make a trunk as a dynamic way, you can make a trunk on the Cisco devices. So how you can do that? So normally what happens? Normally when you make a trunk between the switches 1 and switch 2, so your network engineer must be requirement over there, right? So your network engineer go to the switch 1, make a trunk, and they need to go to the switch 2 and make a trunk. So normally what happened? You are doing the box to box configuration. You are doing the box to box configuration for the trunking. Okay, that's fine. I'm not denying it. It is amazing one, right? You can do that box to box configuration. But take example, if you have a large environment, right? a very big network you have. In that case, static manual configuration of the trunk, right, is not feasible. Okay, so what you can do that you do have, again, it's not recommendation. I'm not saying that this word. You do have an option. You can go with the DTP protocol. Okay, now you may have a question, Ki, which one should I go with in the production network? So in a production network, you can go with the manual configuration. Normally, in a production, people are doing the manual configuration. Some guys are still doing the DTP protocol as well. But again, manual is always good for the trunking. But you do have an option as a DTP protocol. So what DTP allow you? DTP said, hey, don't worry, I don't need a network engineer. As I'm going to connect the switches, right? As I'm going to connect the switches between as I'm going to connect the switches with the help of link, right? They will form the trunking. But before they will form the trunking, they need to satisfy the criteria. And the criteria is what? The DTP modes. The criteria is what? The DTP modes. So normally what happens? A DTP protocol, right? A DTP has a two mode. One is called as a auto, right? Another is called as a desirable. Now you may have a question, what is this guy? So simple language, I'll tell you, a very simple language. So take example, right? This is auto and this is the desirable. Okay. If A wants to communicate with the B, right? They first form the neighbor relationship, right? If A wants to communicate with the B, they first form the neighbor relationship. So normally what happens, A doesn't have an ability to do that. A doesn't have an ability to do that. A cannot initiate the traffic. Only the desirable, or we can say the B, has an option to make a request and make a connection. So B will initiate the request, hey, can we communicate? Now auto has the ability to accept the request and form the trunk. Same thing is happening in the case of auto desirable. What happened? If you're one switch one and switch two, right? These are the DTP modes, right? You have switch one and switch two, this interface and this interface. If this interface is the auto and this interface is the desirable, then you will have a trunk. The result will be trunk. Take example, if you have a switch one, right? And switch two as well, 0/0 and 0/0. If this guy is also desirable and this guy is also desirable, then your result will be also trunk. The reason is that desirable has the ability to make a request, right? Hey, let's make a trunk. Auto only has the ability to what? Only accept it. Whereas desirable has the ability to request it and accept it both. So if both the switches, right, are in the desirable and desirable mode, they can make a trunk. The third option we have, take example, if you have a switch one and switch two, right? This interface is 0/0, this interface is 0/0. If this guy is desirable and this guy is auto, again, in that case, what happens? You will have a trunk. Obviously, right? Desirable will make a request to the switch to, hey, let's make a trunk. Auto has the ability to accept the request. So they will make a trunk. The next option we have, right, is the auto and auto. Auto and auto. So if you have an auto and auto, right, in that case, what happened? Both are gonna wait. What should I do now? Because auto only has a responsibility of what? I can only accept it. I cannot initiate to request to let's make a trunk over there. So in that case, there will be no trunk. This interface will automatically convert into the access port. As I mentioned that we have two types of port. Either your port will be access or either your port will be trunk. So normally this phase is a trunk, this phase is a trunk, this phase is a trunk. But in this case, what happened? Both sides is auto, it will become an access port. Now it's not a trunk port. Now, maybe you have a question, what kind of interface have a desirable and auto? Like which, how we are going to determine is it a desirable or not? So normally what happens?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Uh, Please repeat this. Is access port?
So normally if you have auto, right? If this guy's also auto means what? I can only accept the request. I cannot reinitiate the request, right? I cannot initiate the request. Let's format run. I only have ability to accept the request. So in this case, what happened? Nobody is initiating the request for the trunking. So if there is no trunk, then what happened? The port will become the access. Understood?
Okay. Okay, sir.
Now, which
Understood.
one is a default mode? So these are the questions are normally coming in the production, like in your interview. Hey, what is the default mode of the DTP? So normally when this kind of questions are coming, right? So just say that it's totally depend on the device or platform. It's not a default is a in some books you will find that okay the desirable is a default one, auto is a default one. But when you go in the practice and if you see that auto, some switches has a auto, some switches has a desirable. Okay, so if somebody will asking you what is the desired default mode, just say that it's a depend on the platform to platform, right? Maybe in a Cisco packet tracer, I can show you that it's a auto, and maybe in the web, I can show you it's a desirable. So it's depend on the platform. So now when you're gonna make a trunking with the help of DTP protocol, when you're gonna make a trunk, when you make a trunk with the help of DTP protocol, right? You don't need a network engineer. It automatically make a trunk. Only what you have to do that, only you need to verify the modes. Make sure that mode is a correct way you have configured it. So let's take example. Right now you can see the switch one we have, right? So there is no trunking. If you see the switch one, so interface trunk. So sorry, so we'll brief right now. First see that. Oh, I have this one. Hold on, guys. Let me stop this device and wipe this whole configuration. Now the devices are wiped. All good. And switch one, switch two, and switch three. Okay. And here we go. Perfect. Switch one, I'll make sure over there. Switch two, it should be there. And switch three, I'll make it over here. So I can put it over there. So no, yes, yes, no, yes. And this guy also said that no, and yes. Okay. So now let's have a look. So VLAN brief. I don't have any VLAN. So by default, the VLAN number one is present. That's called the default VLAN. Okay. And all the ports are the member of the default VLAN. Again, the default VLAN number one, you cannot change it. You cannot define the name. Even you cannot change the name of the VLAN number one. What is the name of the VLAN number one is the default. You cannot change the name of the VLAN number one as well. So now let's have a look. I don't have any trunk right now. You can see that. Even if you go to switch to show VLAN brief, I have a VLAN number one. That's a default VLAN. All my interface are for the part of the default VLAN. Same thing. So VLAN brief, I have a VLAN number one, and all the interface are part of the VLAN number one. Let's change the name first of all. That's very important. Switch three, switch two, and switch one. Okay. Now, what I can do that, okay, if you check the default mode right now, whatever the default modes of the DTP we have, right? So interface, each 0/0, right? Switch port. You can see that the default interface mode is what? It's a dynamic auto. So if this guy is auto, right? And if this guy is also auto, and if this guy is also auto, and if this guy is also auto, then what happened? The result will be what? Access port. The result will be what? As a access port. So we can see that these are my operational mode. Operational mode means what? What is the result, right? And these are the auto is what? It's a admin mode. Why I'm saying the admin mode? Because this is defined by the administrator, a network engineer. These are my admin mode. Because you can change this behavior. So if you see the switch port is enabled, it means that it's a layer 2 interface. This is the interface name, and you can see the admin mode is what? Auto. That's my admin mode. And what will be the result for this guy? This two auto port, that will be my operational, or we can say the result port, access port. Same thing if you go on a router switch number 2 and see the do show interface is 0/0, or maybe look for the 0/1 for this particular segment switch port. You can see that this interface is 0/1 enable. That's my switch port is enabled, and my auto is what? This guy, and result will be what? Access port. Which access port? A VLAN number 1. So there is no trunking right now. There is no trunking. It means that if there is a user sitting behind the switch 1, take example, and there's another user behind the switch 1, and if they wants to communicate with this guy, take example. So basically, this is the part of the VLAN number 10, this is the part of the VLAN number 1, this is the part of the VLAN number 10, and this is the part of the VLAN number 1. In that case, normally what happened? Only your VLAN number 1 can communicate with the VLAN number 1. The VLAN 10 cannot communicate with the VLAN 10. The reason is that this interface that you can see that it's 0/0 and it's 0/1, it's only going to carry the VLAN number 1 traffic. What is my agenda right now? We need to make a trunk, right? Without the involvement of the network engineer. So what I can to do that over there, I simply gonna change the behavior on this particular interface. This guy, I can call this guy as a dynamic desirable, and I can call this guy as a dynamic desirable. So when I'm gonna change the port dynamic desirable, what happened now? Try to understand. This guy will make a request, right? Switch 2 will make a request. Hey, let's form a trunk. What is the behavior of the auto? The behavior of the auto is what? Only accept the request. What is the behavior of the desirable? The behavior of the desirable is what? I can accept the request, and the most important is what? I can initiate the request. So when the switch 2 is going to initiate the request, hey, let's make a trunk, the access port will be accepted, and there will be a trunk. Same thing, switch 2 on this particular interface, this is the desirable now. He will make a request, hey, let's make a trunk. The auto has a behavior to accept it, and they will make a trunk number. So let's see. And by default, I have mentioned this point as well as by default, DTP is enabled on all switch port interface. Again, I'm talking about all the IOs only, right? By default, DTP is enabled on all switch port interface. So now if you see one thing, what I can do that, I'll simply go under the interface. I say the interface range, interface 0/0 to 1. Either you can make a single by single as well. It's totally up to you. So I'll just using both the command. I'm using both the interface simultaneously as the switch port, trunk. That's all. I say the mode will be what? The mode will be dynamic desirable. Set the trunking mode is a dynamically negotiate access or trunk mode. So either it will be the access or the trunk mode. So right now they will make a trunk. The reason is that he will make a request. So now if you see, do show interface trunk, I do have a trunking. The beauty part, if you see which protocol they have negotiated, ISL for the encapsulation. Native VLAN is 1, status is trunking, right? Mode is what? It's a desirable. That's ETH 0/0 and ETH 0/1. And the protocol right now that I'm using, it's a ISL. So ISL is by default enabled on the Cisco devices. Right? ISL is by default enabled on our Cisco.
No, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, DTP can you pass the all VLAN?
What do you mean all the VLAN? You mean
VLAN.
trunking VLANs? Yeah, it's gonna pass all the
Yeah,
VLAN traffic, right? Eventually, see, normally what's up? It's a trunk, right? So if it is a trunk port, it means that what? It's gonna carry all the VLAN. If it is a trunk port, it's gonna carry all the VLAN. You can see that over here.
statically. Oh, 124094.
4094. It's gonna carry all the VLAN
Okay,
traffic.
okay,
That's the meaning of trunk, right? That's we have discussed this study. If you guys remember that, trunk means what? It's gonna carry all the VLAN. Access means what?
okay.
It's gonna carry the single VLAN traffic.
Single VLAN.
Understood?
Yes, sir.
So what is ISL?
ISL is the inter-switch link. That's encapsulation protocol. You one of the yesterday?
Yesterday
What?
I'm not written this.
Yeah, then please you have to watch the video of yesterday. Is there any default time or wall negotiation to form the trunk? Yeah, DTP is using the default time. I think so. It's a 30-second. Let me show you that. So DTP, it's a 30-second. So at every 30-second, they are exchanging the what we call hello packet. So I can show you that. Let me show you this in the Wireshark as well. How the DTP packet looks like. DTP Wireshark, not loud shark. If I could find it, then I can show you that. Otherwise, tomorrow I'll try to on my server and I can show you this behavior. Again, this is a very good website, guys. If you want to follow it, just follow it. So for example, if you are looking for the any particular Wireshark capture for the VLAN and for the EIGRP, OSPF, spanning tree protocol, you just need to put the keyword for example, I'm looking for the spanning tree protocol, right? Spanning tree protocol, and you just put the cloud SARC. It's a very good website. They did very good hard work to show you all the Wireshark information about the spanning tree protocol. So you just need to go in the first and second website. See, if you see, it's mentioned that it's a BPD. So it's a very good website, the Packet Life, or you can say the Cloud SARC. They will show you the Wireshark information. So now if you see what information is put in the DTP packets. So basically you can see that it's the Ethernet header and that's the source information of the interface. And this is the reserved MAC address 0100CCCC. It's the reserved MAC address of the DTP protocol. It's a multicast MAC address. This is the unicast MAC address. This is the multicast MAC address on 0100CCCCC. That's a multicast MAC address of DTP. Right? By default, DTP exchange hello packet at every 30 seconds, right? So now you can see that the dynamic trunking protocol, and if you see the version is 1, that's a domain. This domain name, this will be clear what is the meaning of domain right now. Hold on, it will be clear by the today end of the class. Then if you see the trunk status is what, you say that whatever the trunk port we have, either the access port or the auto, then trunk type is what, that's going to tell you the whatever the encapsulation we are using it. So the default is ISL right now, and the center ID is what, who is sending this DTP packet. For example, you have a switch 1 and switch 2, and taking down the switch 1 is sending the DTP packet, then you will have a switch 1 MAC address information. This trunk type means what? It's going to tell you the which protocol we are using, the encapsulation protocol. The trunk status means what? What is the status of trunk? Is it a access or is it a trunking? So now if you see, the default behavior is what? It's going to send the DTP hello packets at every 30 seconds. And right now, all the 8 interfaces enable in the DTP. So by default, the DTP will be exchanged on the access port and trunk, not access port, we can say that, trunk port and the port that is connected to the PCs as well. So take example, we have a switch 1, switch 2 and switch 1. So this is the interface 0/0, this interface 0/0, this is the 0/2. We are going to exchange the DTP packets over here. At the same time, we are going to exchange the DTP packet over here as well as. That's a default behavior. Again, I'm repeating it. That's a default behavior. Right. Now, guys, please pay attention over here. Understand this concept. If this interface is gonna keep sending the DTP packet at every 30 seconds. Take example. At every 30 seconds, if this guy is gonna send the packet, what is the size of packet right now? 60 byte, right? 60 to 90 byte of the packet size. If this guy is gonna keep sending the packet, which is the size of the 60 to 90 bytes, then what happened? At every 30 seconds, it's gonna consume the bandwidth, right? Now understand. I'm just roughly taking example, right? If you're gonna, sorry, 15 into 90, 350, right? 1350. 1350, 15 packets, right? Now assume that in a 30 second, I'm sending this amount of packet size. It means that 13 into 15 is what? If you calculate 30 into 15, 450 second, right? It means that in 450 second, again, it's a roughly example, guys. Okay. In a 450 second, how many bandwidth I'm going to consume? Almost 1.3 KB. Almost you are going to consume the 1.3 KB of bandwidth. It's very important to understand the behavior of the DTP. Now, this is the one reason, right? It's a wastage of bandwidth of this particular interface. At the same time, when the switches is going to send the packet, the DTP packet, the CPU comes in the picture. The CPU always comes in the picture by sending the packet because CPU is responsible for the control plane packet. Now, third thing, take example. What happened? If the attacker comes over here, right? If the attacker comes over here and they treat like actually this is the PC, right? Actually, this is the PC. What attacker is treating like hey, you know one thing, I'm also behave like a switch now because we have lots of software. By using that software, the attacker can send the DTP packet. Now take example, if the attacker can send a DTP packet, right? And they will make sure that, hey, my mode is what? Desirable. Take example. What is the mode of the switch one right now? It's auto, right? If it is going to become the desirable, then what happened? They will form the trunk. Guys, please pay attention. I'm not going to recap again. It's a very important. So if this guy is going to make a desirable and already this guy is an auto, then what happened? Interface will become a trunk. Now, if the attacker will form a trunk with your switches, then what happened? He has a complete access of your network. And he can destroy your network in a second. Because now he can send the packet to any in a VLAN as well, right? Because this interface is going to carry all the VLAN traffic now. They will remove this port, this PC port from 0/2, and they will add this port over 0/2 now. And this side is auto, and they will make this guy a desirable. Now the trunk is there now, and they can send a huge number of packets. So to avoid this problem, right? To avoid this problem, you have two ways to disable the DTP, right? Two ways to disable DTP. One is what? One that you're going to put on this interface that is connected to the PC, right? You're going to put the command on this particular interface 0/2. You're going to put the command switch port, right? Mode access. That's a manual configuration. Hope you have seen this command line, right? So whenever you're watching the videos and reading the books, you have seen this command line. Many people are putting this command line. If you guys remember that, what I have started my training with the switchboard access VLAN 10, this command. I haven't taught you this command, but that's a main purpose of this command. The main purpose of putting this command is what? To disable the DTP. To disable the DTP and improve the security. So if you're going to use the switchboard mode access, so what is the meaning of this command? This command is that what? It's going to disable the DTP. So if you're going to put this command, so DTP will be now disabled from that particular interface. Now, if the attacker is trying to make a connectivity with you, they cannot do that. That's a first case command. And that's a second command is over here. So now the recommendation is what? The always recommendation is what? If you're going to assign the port to that particular VLAN, you just need to use the command switch port mode access so that you can disable the DTP. Second thing is what? Switch port access VLAN button. That's a correct way to do the configuration. This is the one way that you can disable the DTP. Second way is what? For example, understood now concept. So take example, we have a switch 1 and switch 2, right? By default, DTP is enabled, right? I have mentioned that one. By default, DTP is enabled. So if the DTP is enabled, at every 30 seconds, what happened? They will send the DTP packet on this particular interface and this particular interface. Take example, I have manual configuration this trunk. What I did the manual configuration of the trunk on this particular interface. If I'm going to do the manual configuration of the trunk, right? Do I need to send the DTP packet over there? Do I have requirement to send the DTP packet? No, there is no requirement to send the DTP packet. If you made a manual configuration of the trunk, there's no requirement to send the DTP packet. So to avoid this behavior, what you can do that on that particular trunk interface on a 0/0, you just need to go that and say that switch port, no negotiate. If you see this command line, so I'm not going to put it. I'm just going to try to show you. Interface is 0/0. Switch port, no negotiate. If I'm going to make an enter over there, the DTP will be disabled. So there is a two ways to disable the DTP. One is on the access port, you have to use this command, switch port mode access. On a trunk port, you have to use this command, no negotiate. And these two ways you can disable the DTP behavior.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. I have many times used this command switch port mode access, but don't know this is to disable DTP improve security.
Nice, very important command, man. If you're not gonna use, see, normally when the people are using they're coming in the like networking field, right? So what they are doing that they are putting the interface 0/0 in the particular VLAN. What they are doing that they are using the switch port mode access. They are using the switch port access VLAN number 10. But you have seen that last 3-4 days we have seen the VLAN. I just doing this kind of configuration. I haven't did this kind of configuration. But now the use case of this command is what? To disable the DTP. If you're not gonna use it, you are dealing with the security.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But
Understood?
I have many times used this command switch port mode access, but I did not know this DTP improve security, sir. Disable the DTP.
That's called as a DTP attack.
Yes, sir.
The topic name is called as a DTP attack, right? So when the attacker is going to make a DTP attack, the topic, so we have to prevent this DTP attack. How to prevent the DTP attack? Two ways, this one and this one.
Okay.
So on the trunk interface, this command, on the access interface, this command. Now let's come back to the over here, guys. So now let's see this topology again back. So it's two. So if you see that, so right now we have a trunk, right? But this trunk is what? It's a DTP way, and we have ISL. So ISL is a default behavior. Now, one thing if you notice over here, on a switch one, I'll show you the same behavior. Do so interface, trunk, right? The mode is what? Auto. The mode is what? Desirable. The mode is what? Because this side is auto. If you see that this side is auto, this side is desirable. And now if you look for the one command, so interface is 0/0 switch port. Previously, right? Now the admin mode is what? Auto. Right now, what is the result mode now? Trunk. And if you see, the negotiation of the trunking is on. That's the meaning of DTP is on right now. That's the meaning of DTP is on. Same thing if you go on a switch 2 right now. So interface, trunk, sorry, so interface is 0/0 switch port. You can see that my DTP is on right now. And the operational, so the protocol that I'm going to use for the encapsulation, I'm going to use the ISL one. And operational mode is a trunk. So that's how your DTP is going to work, guys. So what I can show you that I'll make a, I'll convert this guy into the normal auto mode. Interface is 0/0, range to 1, switch port mode, dynamic auto. So do show interface trunk now. There's no trunk. So now the behavior is changed. It's auto and auto. If auto and auto, then what happened? There's no trunk. I changed this behavior. Previously, the trunk was there, right? Because of the desirable mode. Now I change the behavior. It's auto. The trunk is not there. Do show interface E0/0 switch port. If you see auto and the port is accessed now. Now let's make a dynamic manual trunk. How do I make a manual trunk of there? I just need to go interface, range E0/0 to 1, switch port, trunk encapsulation, because I want to use the dot one queue and switch port mode trunk. What do you think? Will it gonna work now? Trunk. So if you see the command do show interface trunk, it's working. The reason why it's working. I haven't done the command on this side, right? My engineer is present on the switch 2 right now, and still the switch 1 is making a trunk right now. The reason is that we have the interface, right, is by default. The interface is by default is participating in the negotiating mode. And because of the negotiating mode, what happened? They can also negotiate the static trunk. They can also negotiate the manual trunk. So when I say the made a request, when I say, hey, let's make this interface as a trunk interface, right? When I see this command, switch port mode trunk and encapsulation is a yes, give me 1 minute. Sorry. So when I say that switch port trunk encapsulation dot one queue and switch port mode trunk, my encapsulation had changed and interface is now become the trunking right now. And the switch 1 is making a trunk because of the negotiation behavior. So if you see the output difference on the switch 1 right now, I can show you that. So interface trunk. Can you see this word N over here? Because the switch 1 is negotiating it right now. They have an ability, they can negotiate the static trunk as well. So now, whenever you're going to start your manual trunking, you don't need to configure on every box. You just need to configure one of the middle box and the neighbor person can negotiate it. Now, if I need a, right, dynamic trunk, if you see do so interface 0/0, so a manual trunk, if you see it, the encapsulation is .1 queue protocol and negotiation trunking is still on. What I can do that? Do I need a DTP to send this over there? No, there is no need to send the DTP. Do so DTP, right, interface. You can see that on this particular interface E0/0, I have sent this amount of packet. Sorry, this amount of packet I have received and this amount of packet I have sent. There's no need to send the DTP packets, right? See, previously it was how much? 73, 56, now 57, 74. I'm keep sending the packet. What I can do that? I simply go under the interface range E0/0 to 1 and say that switch port no negotiate. When I say the switch port no negotiate, do so interface E0/0 switch port. My DTP is off now. My DTP is off now. So one way that you can use the no negotiate command to disable the DTP, make sure that this command is not going to work on the Cisco packet tracer. This command is not going to work on the Cisco. You can use the EVNG to do this lab or GNS3. Now, put the same command, do show interface trunk. And let's disable the negotiation from there as well. If you see the do show interface turn and do show interface is 0/0 switch port, my negotiation is still on, which means that I can send the DTP packet, right? So I need to disable it. How I do that? Interface is 0/0 switch port no negotiation. So he's saying the command is rejected because of the negotiate and dynamic status on this one is changed. So let's do one thing. Interface 0/0 switch port mode dynamic desirable. Not desirable, sorry. Switch port mode trunk. Switch port trunk encapsulation .1q. Switch port mode trunk and switch port no negotiable. So of course, right, I am doing the manual configuration. So I need to disable the DTP. First of all, I need to manual configuration. Now DTP is disabled now. Do show interface is 0/0 switch port. All awesome now. Same thing on a switch 3, right? On this particular interface, there is no need to send the DTP packets, right? If I'm making a manual trunk. So what I can do that, I'll simply go on that particular interface. First, change the behavior because we are doing the static trunk interface 0/0. Switch port word trunk encapsulation .1q. Switch port word mode trunk and now switch port no negotiate. Do show interface is 0/0 switch port. My trunking is, sorry, DTP is disabled now. I still have a trunk, man. I still have a trunk. There's no issue in the trunk. Only the thing is that there is no need to send the DTP packet. There's no need to send the DTP packet now. So if you put the same command, do show DTP interface is 0/0 5875. Same one. Same one. Nothing is changing, right? Still 58 is good. 65 we have received. 58 is good. 75 we have received. So now the DTP is purely disabled now. There's no, I mean, now we are not sending any DTP packets over there. It's pure now a trunk. And that trunk is called as a static trunk, pure static trunk. And that's a perfect way to configure the trunk. Yesterday that we have seen that was not a correct way to configure the trunk because still you were sending the DTP packets. Why do we need to send the DTP packets? Remember, I just gave you the example. It's gonna go like, wastage of bandwidth of this particular link, right? So if you see, still I'm not sending any DTP packet right now. Same one. So this amount of bandwidth I'm totally saving. Which amount of bandwidth? This amount of bandwidth I'm totally sending 1.3 KB, which is a very, very enough. In just a 450 second. On an average, I'll tell you, in a 5 minute, you are saving the 1.3 KB of bandwidth. This 1.3 KB of bandwidth you can allocate to somebody else. Guys, okay, let me show you the DTP over here as well for the access one. Let me switch one. So have a look. Boarding right now. Enable. So interface 80/1 switch port. Oh man, this command is not going to work over here. Sorry, 0/1. So my DTP is on right now, right? What I can do that, I'll simply configure the one command, interface 0/1, switch port what? Access VLAN number 10. VLAN 10 was not there. Let me create it for you, right? So normally what happened yesterday, I explained you this command line, right? So if you don't have a VLAN, he will create for you. Do show VLAN brief right now, you can see that. This interface is the part of the VLAN number 10 now. Another thing is that if you see, do so interface is 0/1 switch port. Sorry, my bad, man. 0/1 switch port. Still on. I made the command, right? Still on. This means that anyone can perform the attack now. What I can do that the best way. Off. So if you put this command, switchboard access VLAN number 10, you are inviting the attacker, hey, come on, please do the attack in my network. So this command only assign the port to the VLAN. Only assign to the port to the VLAN. Whereas if you put the command interface 0/1 switch port mode access and switch port access VLAN number 10, then this command assign the port and disable the DTP. And what is the benefit of the disabling the DTP? Benefit, if you see, I can see the benefit of disable DTP. I can see the bandwidth, or use bandwidth. See the CPU. I can now define this, the CPU that were used by the DTP. Now I can define for the other purpose, right? And I can see the attack. So two-way we have disabled the DTP. So this one for the access port only. And the switch port no negotiate, that was, let me copy this command from here. This command for what? Also disable DTP. This is disable DTP for trunk interface. Guys, put the questions if you have any questions in the DTP now. So for static trunk config, we can disable the DTP on any ports, but for the dynamic trunk, we can disable DTP only on the AND ports. Correct me if you are correct, Nisar. So for the static trunk, you have not disabled the DTP on every ports like a trunk and access. And that's the best way to configure the VLAN this way. And we can disable the DTP only on the AND ports. Correct me? Yes, when you want to make a dynamic trunking, you have to disable only on the AND ports. But again, now focus on the why I told you that. If you remember my words just at the beginning of the class, I told you that I'm not saying the recommendation word. I told you that you have an option to use the DTP. You have an option to use the DTP. Still take example, what happened if you're going to use the dynamic trunking protocol, right? If you're going to use the DTP protocol to form a trunk. Let's me give one more example. Take example, if I'm going to switch between the switch 1 and switch 2, right? If I'm going to use the DTP over there to form the trunking, perfect, the trunk has formed. Now, the problem with the DTP is what? It's a dynamic trunking. If the interface is enabled with the like a DTP, then what happens if the attacker will comes over here and they will put the own switch, not the switch even, forget the switch right now. They will just put the PC and connect this port over here. And now he will advertise the DTP packets. They will form the trunk now again. So DTP is not a good solution. Manual is a good solution because in a manual, you are totally saving your network. So if I talk about the security perspective, manual configuration is awesome. If I talk about the management perspective, DTP is awesome. So you must have all the scenario with you guys. Guys, give me 1 minute. I'll just come back. I don't know where's my phone. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I thought I forgot my phone somewhere else. Yeah, guys. So to your question now about the DTP. Do you have any questions about the DTP or is clear?
All clear, thank you.
Now, okay. So take example. If you see right now, so VLAN brief. If you see the VLAN we have, we cannot change the name of the VLAN number 1. Okay, but I do have ability. I can change the VLAN number 10 name. So for example, I said the VLAN number 10. What happened? If you see the loose VLAN brief, I have a name for the VLAN number 10 now. Okay, so simply what? If you make the VLAN number 10, what happened? Automatically, the switch will create a name for this guy as the VLAN 0010. That's a name for the VLAN 10. But the default behavior is what? For this guy is what? The status will be active. What is the meaning of active over there? The meaning of active is what? Take example. This is the switch 1. And here we have a PCs over there. Here we have another PCs. Here we have another PCs. And here we have another PCs. Understand this concept, guys. It's very important one. Okay, it's not given in the book. But yeah, it's very important. So you can manage the VLAN properly in your network. So this is a VLAN number 10 now. And these are my guest user. So these are my internal user and these are my guest user now. The default behavior of the VLAN 10 is what? This is the VLAN number 10, this is the VLAN number 20. So the default behavior of the VLAN number is what? Its status is active. Active means what? And the meaning of active means what? The meaning of active is whatever the ports, right, are the part of VLAN which is active, they can communicate to each other. They can communicate to each other. It means that right now, both the interface we have, if you see that, we have a 0/0 and we have a 0/1. Both the ports are the part of what? VLAN number 10, which is the active right now. It means that if the PC1 wants to communicate with the PC number 2, they can send the traffic. They can send it. Now, let's talk about the guest user. Guest user is also what? The VLAN number 20, right? And 0/2 and 0/3. These two interfaces we have, right? And what is the status right now? Active. It means that the PC3 and PC4 also can communicate it. The PC3 and PC4 also can communicate it. Now, these are my guest user. These are my guest user. Once the work has done for these guys, like normally, when the peoples are coming in for the interview in the company, right? So those are the guest user, right? So when this user has done with all the work, what is our responsibility? Our network engineer responsibility. Should I keep this port up right now? Or should I keep this VLAN up right now? No, you do have an ability. What you can do that to just improve the security. I can make this port is what? Suspended. Not port, the complete VLAN is suspended. So if the complete VLAN is suspended, whatever the ports of that particular VLAN will be suspended. So basically, if I talk about the status, right? So we have two types of status of the VLAN. One is active, one is suspended. Active is what? Whatever the users are present in that active VLAN, all they can communicate to each other. Whatever the VLAN, whatever the users are present in the suspended VLAN, they cannot communicate to each other. So the meaning suspended, if you have a look, What does it mean? Suspended means what? Just for the temporary purpose, I'm shutting down this VLAN so that no communication will happen. So if I'm gonna shut down this VLAN, suspended this VLAN, there will be no communication will happen. That's the beauty of this status. So if you see right now, I can see the VLAN number 10, which is by default active status. I can change this guy. I can say that, hey, let's do one thing. I'll make this guy the VLAN number 20, sorry, 10. I say the status will be what? State will be what? Suspended. Do so VLAN brief. Now, no communication will happen for that particular port. So whatever the ports comes over here, there will be no communication will happen. Understood? That's a status, right? Now, next part is what? Take example. You have a switch 0, right? And if you see, show VLAN brief right now, this interface 0/1 is the part of the VLAN number 10, which is again active. Again, this command you cannot use on the Cisco packet tracer. So if you are trying to use this command, VLAN number 10 status, it's not gonna work. Sorry, state, it's not gonna work. So you have a proper image for that one. So maybe it's gonna work in the web IOU or EBNG on the real devices as well. So now what I can say, what I'm trying to show you over here, guys, please pay attention. So VLAN brief, if you see this interface, right? This interface 0/1 is a active status right now. And the VLAN number 10 is also present in my database table. This is the VLAN database table we have. Right? Try to understand. If you see one thing, do so interface fasten 0/1 switch port. If you have this guy, you can see that these are the part of the VLAN number 10 right now. What happened? Somehow, if the VLAN number 10 will be deleted? If I say the no VLAN number 10. So if you see the do so VLAN brief right now, have a look, the beautiful output. 0/1, which was there previously, but now it's not there. Guys, no VLAN 10. I deleted the VLAN from the database table. Where is the 0/1 now? It's not there. So this is one of the very important interview questions, right? So normally you will get it in the big companies when you go for the high level package, right? What happened if I'm going to remove the VLAN number 10 from there? What happened with the ports now?
Now it will convert to default VLAN.
It's not coming in the default VLAN. Can you see that? 0/1 should be the part of the VLAN. 0/1 should come in the VLAN number 1, right? It's not coming it. Anyone has answer for this one? So normally what happens when you... Sorry?
Interface also suspend with the VLAN or?
Exactly, that's a perfect answer. So now if you see, if the VLAN 10 is not there in your database table, so whatever the ports, listen to my words carefully, whatever the ports that is associated with that VLAN, that port will become the inactive port. Put the command same one. This is the inactive port now. For which VLAN? So someone has asked the question here, I don't know who is the guy, yesterday and day before yesterday, right? So what happened? The communication is not happening between the two switches, right? We have all the trunkies, everything. There's lots of possibility, man.
Me, Saurabh, sir.
Yeah. So you ask me, there's lots of possibility. Understood, guys? Any questions?
No, sir. Clear, sir.
So
Sir, one Hello.
1 minute. In that case, what happened? So if this interface will become the inactive due to the reason of what? No VLAN 10 is there. So take example, we have another PC over here as well, right? They also part of the 0/2 as a part of what? VLAN number 10, right? They will not come here. Let me show you that now. Practically, I can show you that in this one. So I have a switch one. And I can take the PC over here as well.
Sir, how to revoke this?
I'll come into the point. Okay, bring back. I'm coming to the point. So let's define the IP is 101.1, 101.2. Right? So 0/2 also. Interface 0/2. Switchboard access VLAN number 10. Oh, no. So those are VLAN brief now. So you can see that I have both the VLAN 10 is present and both the interface is part of the VLAN number 10. Now what I can do that, I'll delete the VLAN. I say that no VLAN 10. Right. So no VLAN 10 is what? The VLAN has removed from the database table. The VLAN has removed from the database table, but I have a 2 ports over there, 0/1 and 0/2. Status is still, guys, there's a 2 different things happening. Status is still active right now. You see that? Status is still active. Only the thing is that VLAN is not present. So in that case, right, if I'm going to send the traffic from here to here, there should be no communication. Now, how we can bring back? Simply, you need to create the VLAN. So if I'm going to create the VLAN, if you see 0/1 and 0/2 is not a part of the VLAN number 1 even.
Add
So
the VLAN.
mostly people are doing this kind of mistake, right? When they give the interview and they're asking, hey, what happened? What happened to those ports now? So those ports will not back to the default one. They're still part of the what? VLAN. The reason is that, I'll tell you the reason. Because we did the manual configuration. This configuration, the manual configuration, we did it, right? How can you remove the manual configuration? Is it possible that I can remove the phone number from your phone? No, because
No, sir.
the number that you saved it, right? The number that you saved, you cannot remove it until unless you don't want to, until unless you want to remove it. So sorry. Hold on, guys. So that's by default, the domain lookup is enabled on the devices, Cisco device. Let me explain you this part as well. So by default, this command is enable domain lookup. And because of that reason, what happened if you put the any wrong statement? So Cisco device is performing the domain lookup for that particular address. So if you don't want to make this, guys, you just put the no IP domain lookup. This command you can do that. So then this will be not happen. No. Okay. This command is working over here. It's not working. Maybe over here it should work. So this is the command to restore the domain lookup. It's not working on the Cisco packet tracer. So what I can do that is simply create the VLAN number 10. Once I create the VLAN number 10, automatically what happened? All the ports automatically comes to the VLAN number 10 now. So there will be no inactive right now. So 2 things is very important. One is what? VLAN status. So two types we have: active, suspended, interface state. Active, inactive. Okay, the default is what? This is the default behavior. This is the default behavior.
Hello, sir.
I cannot hear your voice is breaking. What you can do, remove the VLAN permanently. What you can do to remove the VLAN permanently. What do you mean?
Hello.
Your voice is breaking. Your voice is breaking. Vijaya, your voice is breaking. So you want me to
Yes.
remove the completely VLANs from the database table? Then you need to delete the delete VLAN .dat file. So basically, all your VLAN is stored in this dat file, right? So you need to delete this dat file. So the VLAN will be completely removed. Your voice is breaking, Vijaya. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you can put the questions in the chat, right? I can give you the answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, if you put suspend, it is going to permanently. We cannot set the timing like this. If you working hours, it will be active. After working hours, it will go suspended like this.
No, there's something like that. There is no mechanism right now we have. If something is there, maybe that
Sir,
I'm aware of. Maybe in the different vendor, if something is there, I have no awareness of this thing. But in my life, I haven't seen that thing. Like for certain amount of the time, right? This VLAN will be deleted automatically. This come back. I haven't seen that.
sir, in interview
Not
perspective, our answer is what?
Okay, go with the one question. You go with the Ismail. Go with the Ismail. What you said that?
yes. You're telling port. This one. This is not VLAN status. This is port. Like suspended means it will port will be automatically going to suspended.
So you're saying the port will be automatically go to the suspended and automatically comes in the normal behavior. You're saying that this way, right?
Yes.
Personally, I'll tell you, no, it's not possible, man. I haven't seen that. Even the port, you need to manually up the port and you need to manually shut down the port, right? There's no process. Have you seen that anyway?
No, just I'm asking.
No, so I haven't seen that. No, there is no option. Yeah, Vijay, you can put the question in the chat. Your voice is a little breaking, Vijay. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, just tell your answer now. Meantime, I'm doing the one lab, so let me pause it. Yeah, you can go ahead. Tell me.
Sir, interview perspective, suppose suspend the VLAN. If suspend the VLAN, so which our answer to first, sir? Adding the VLAN, yeah.
Okay, so if the interviewer asking, right, you want to like block some traffic for that particular VLAN, which one should we give the answer, right? You just say the suspended, because deleting the VLAN is not a good option.
Yes.
Deleting the VLAN is not a good option. I'm showing the practical of the suspended right now. Deleting the VLAN is not a good option.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I'll take the two PC right now, router 1 and router 2. That's all, right? So IP interface brief, if you see the router 2 IP address, it's 1.2 right now. And how the router 1 already have it. 101, right? So this guy has IP address is 1.1.1.1.1. This guy's IP address is 1.1.1.2, right? And let's see switch 1. What VLAN is part of this interface? So VLAN brief. Okay, VLAN 10 is there. So I'll just quickly add this interface. Interface range is 0/0 to 1. Switch port access VLAN number. And all done. So do so VLAN brief now. I do have VLAN. So I do have an interface in the VLAN number 10 right now. Okay, if you want to define the name, I can see that name will be what? IT. But VLAN number 1, I cannot define the name. Yes, it's not saying that. Default VLAN 1 may not have its name changed. Even I cannot delete the no VLAN 1. If you want to delete, I cannot delete it. So VLAN 1 should be there. Now, the most important part is what? If you see, if I'm going to try to ping from the router 1 to the router 2, it's going to work. Right? But what happened if I'm going to suspend this port now, suspend this VLAN? Do so VLAN brief right now. The status is active. I'll say the VLAN number 10. State is what? Suspended. Bingo. No communication is happening. Do so VLAN brief. That's all for today, guys. I'm done with the trunking. I'm done with the VLAN. So tomorrow we'll jump to the VTP protocol. That's for today. Let's for the VTP protocol tomorrow. If you have any questions from the today class, you can feel free to ask me. You have lots of time today.
No, sir.
Yeah.
No, sir. No, sir.